There's one thing I can guarantee you right now. It is 9:57 p.m. on a Friday night. Happy Friday night, and welcome to a Friday night live edition of the Golden Days. The one thing I can guarantee you at this point in time regarding the future that I am certain of, it's that this show tonight is going to be a hell of a lot more entertaining than the Mike Tyson-Jake Paul fight. That was a dud. The Warriors game, on the other hand, some could say was a bit of a dud. If you don't like the Warriors, if you love them, it was a blowout, except for the score. I'll get down to the details in terms of what that means, but we're going to break down the Warriors and Grizzlies, finishing up the second game of the NBA Cup. Same story, different night for the deepest team in the NBA, the Golden State Warriors. Let's break it all down next. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the Golden Days.
They always find something to nitpick, and that's because there's expectations for us to win. It was a pretty crazy night.
Let's go!
In a minute, I'ma need a sentimental man or woman to pump me up. Come on and break me off. 'Cause I get what I want and I like what I see. If you got
Mike Tyson's got to hang it up, folks. Dude is old. Welcome to the Golden Days. I am your host for the evening, Cyrus Saatsaz. You can follow me on Threads and Instagram at Dog Wild. I'm also over on Twitter at Surf Journalist. The program is on all social media platforms at Golden Days Pod. Tonight's episode is brought to you by the official sponsor of the Golden Days, and that's Bet Online, the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, Bet Online provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen. Case in point tonight, the Golden State Warriors were favored to beat the Grizzlies by, I believe, 7 was the line that I last got. And until the very last moments of this game tonight, I was ashamed of myself for publicly on social media saying, take the Warriors -7. I'm sorry, take the Grizzlies +7. That's the spread's big. The Grizzlies routinely dominate teams. I think they had a differential entering tonight's game of +8.2, which is very good. They have size, as you saw. And this game ended up being a blowout until the very end. The Grizzlies end up losing by 5. So the bet was won, but I'm not feeling proud about that one at all because I don't think that should have happened. I should have lost that bet. But if you listen to me, congratulations. I won you some money. But I don't think that should have been the case. Regardless, gambling's fun. Gambling's crazy. And with Bet Online, they've got the largest selection of odds on everything from football, NBA, college basketball, NHL, UFC, MMA. Head to Bet Online today to get in on the action with America's most trusted site for online wagering. Bet Online, the game starts here. What is going on? I'm not centered. Hello, everybody, and good evening. Zach Schmellis in the chat writing, I have connections to some shady organizations with that cover. It was not my influence. I know you're being facetious. It was not my recommendation at all. I don't know what you hear Brett means from Niner MM86. Stupid dumbass child. I do remember you from a long time ago. Good to see you again. And also I remember now there was someone in the chat like a few shows ago who kept asking me to say Steve O, and they didn't know what the hell they were talking about. I didn't know what they were talking about, and it literally just hit me what that person wanted me to say. It was a former regular guest of the program, Greg Silver, who has an O in his social media handle. And so every time I'd promote his handle, I'd go, Greg O Silver, because it's got an O in the middle of it. It just occurred to me now that's what that person was looking for. Anyways, I am solo tonight, so no Anthony Merkovich, Larry Kruger, no one else is coming in. I hope you're okay with just this mug staring at you. But great to see everyone. And if you watch that Tyson Jake Paul fight, be relieved that you did not drop a buttload of money to watch that match. That was a bore. That was borderline embarrassing. That was an assault on a senior citizen. We are not here to talk boxing, though. We're here to talk Warriors basketball. And the Warriors, yet again, took care of business. And they're taking care of business at home now, which is huge. The final score, 123-118. The Warriors entered the final quarter of this game up by 15. They were dominating throughout, at times leading by over 20 points. But the fourth quarter, they completely let their guard down. And the Grizzlies made a bit of a comeback. Obviously, they didn't come back enough to win, but they covered the spread. So, again, if you listen to me on that front, congratulations. But that was way too close for comfort. The guilt that was ridden within me, knowing that chances are some people are listening to my advice for gambling. And, again, it worked. But I think I'm going to refrain from going public with that stuff anymore. If you want to DM me, that's fine. But hello, everyone, and happy Friday night again. For some, I don't know if any of you folks out there feel me, but some weeks just drag. They're exhausting. They're tiring. They're draining. And this week was no exception to that. So if you feel me on that, happy Friday, because we are now at a point in our lives where we can just chill a little bit, take a deep breath, light them up if you got them, pour yourself a stiff one if that's your vice of choice, whatever your poison, enjoy and relax. And even if sobriety is your path, more power to you. Just as long as you're finding happiness in this world, good luck to you. I'm rooting for you. And if the Warriors give you happiness, again, they won again, 123-118, the final. Here is something very interesting about the Warriors starting off the season now, 10-2, which is their official record. They're tied atop the Western Conference. I don't know if technically they're tied. They're tied in the loss column. I can assure you of that. The Thunder might have a half game lead or something like that. But the Warriors right now are 10-2. It's the sixth time in franchise history that the Golden State Warriors have started a season 10-2. That's something noteworthy, because for a franchise as illustrious as the Golden State Warriors, who go back to the 1940s, to the very dawn of the National Basketball Association, back when they were playing in Philly, for this to only happen 6 times ever in 80 plus years, that's impressive. Okay. But the fact that in each of those years, they made the NBA Finals, hey now, I mean, this team's looking good, folks. And again, if you're a Golden Dazer, meaning if you're a regular of this program, you've heard me say this before, but there's a good shot we have new people joining us each episode. And on the side note, thanks again. We've hit 3,000 subs in approximately 4 months. That's a great run. Again, with the last program, it took about 3 years to hit 14,000. So hopefully we'll go at a faster pace than that. But again, to get to 3K, thank you from the bottom of my heart. And let's hope when this season ends, we're all celebrating together. We're celebrating Steph's 5th championship. And yes, I'm going to get a Steve Kerr tattoo if that happens. I am a man of my word. But regardless, right there, that is impressive. 10-2 for the 6th time in franchise history. And in each of those instances, the Golden State Warriors went on to win the Western Conference title. Did they win the NBA championship every time? No. I imagine that 10-2 start includes maybe 2019. I don't know which years they started 10-2. I know it doesn't count the 73 win season because they were 12-0 at this point. But regardless, it is awesome for the team to start that way. So that's where the Warriors stand. They're again now 10-2. And more specifically, in the standings, I do want to check it out real fast just to see where the Warriors currently sit in the West. And yes, they are a half game behind the OKC Thunder, who are 11-2. So the two teams are tied in the loss column, but those two teams are starting to develop some separation between themselves and everyone else. With Kevin Durant out, the Phoenix Suns are taking a hit. They're now 9-4 along with the Houston Rockets. Those two teams are tied for 3rd in the Western Conference, both 9-4, 2 games back of the Warriors and the Thunder in the loss column. So we'll keep track of that as the season goes along. And at the end of tonight's episode, as with every postgame show, we'll run down the NBA scoreboard. But this Warriors team, ladies and gentlemen, are for real, in case anyone doubted it. I was listening to a podcast earlier today in my ride, and I was listening to this guy. He used to be on ESPN, and his name is David Jacoby. No one of significance, except for the fact that he does have an audience. He's on a major podcast platform. And this moron, like a lot of people who have no clue what they're talking about, yet they're getting paid to talk about it, thinks that this Warriors team is a joke, that this Warriors team is a fad, that this Warriors team is going to come back down to earth. And again, a lot of ignoramuses out there, because what he doesn't realize is that this team is legitimate. This team is very much for real. And this team has just too much depth for other teams to handle. Now, some bad news from tonight's game. Lindy Waters landed awkwardly on a defensive play where he was rocking it. Side note, Lindy Waters started tonight. Whoever was in the chat a day or two ago requesting a start for Lindy Waters, pat yourself on the back and reveal yourself, because there was someone in this audience, I don't know if it was the last postgame show or if it was just the last episode, but they were advocating for Lindy Waters the third to start, and we endorsed it. We did not say that was a bad. Was that you, Gamer F2P? I think it was. Yeah, that does sound correct. So, Gamer F2P, pat yourself on the back, dude, or girl. I have no idea what your gender is, because you were totally spot on in terms of not just the fact that the Warriors did it, but he filled that spot magnificently. To start the game, he scored the team's first 5 points. And it was like an up and down start for him, because he also committed a foul on a 3-point shot. And then the third, I think it was on Desmond Bane, who missed the third free throw, but the team gave up an offensive rebound. And I think that was Lindy who was at least partly responsible for that. He certainly committed the foul, but then he drains a three. He hits another deep shot. I think his toe was on the line, scored the first 5 points. I love Lindy Waters. To me, he belongs. And I'm incredibly thankful that the Golden State Warriors feel the exact same way, as evident by the fact that, again, he started. And so Lindy Waters, but unfortunately, he got injured. He landed awkwardly on this. I think it was a transition play, and he made a solid defensive. I don't know if it was a block or it was he contested a shot right at the rim. It was, I believe, a transition play, but he landed awkwardly where his knee was not bent. So he came down with his legs straightened out, and you could just picture how that could feel. It's not a good imagery. It's not a good feeling to even theorize and imagine. The good news is he ran off the court on his own volition. They're calling it a hyperextension, which can mean anything. I mean, he could be out for days. He could be out for weeks. We have no idea. Let's hope he's okay. But Lindy Waters did, again, I thought had a fantastic outing tonight before he got hurt. In just 10 minutes of play, he had 8 points. He was 2 of 3 from deep, 3 of 4 from the field. And what I was really loving from him, though, was the aggressiveness on both sides of the ball. He was even bringing the ball up as the primary ball handler for a couple of plays. He was whipping it in terms of being a part of a motion offense. Like, there's still a lot to digest with Lindy Waters and to break down, because we haven't seen a lot. But every time I watch him play, I love it. The aesthetics definitely pass in flying colors. It just meaning, like, the appeasement of watching him actually play basketball. It's a beautiful thing to watch. He's a great player. So let's hope Lindy Waters is okay. But again, for the limited minutes that he was out there, it was fantastic. So kudos to Lindy Waters, and Gamer F2P, props to you for the suggestion, because that was absolutely awesome. And let's really hope that he ends up being okay. Now, in terms of who stood out in this game, I don't know if any one player did. The Golden State Warriors had 6 players in double figures tonight. Their leading scorer in this game, and I don't know what's got my dog all riled up in the background, but that's Bubba, if you can hear the barking. Again, 6 players in double figures. The leading scorer in this game only had 18. It just goes to show that this was a top-to-bottom effort for this team. Buddy Hield led the team in scoring, although I'm guessing if you had to without having any clue, without looking at the box score, if you had to guess who was the leading scorer, I don't know if any one of you would have a clear, concise answer for that without knowing it. Buddy Hield was your leading scorer tonight. He had 18 points, 4 of 8 from deep, 7 of 15 from the field. But it wasn't just, he also grabbed 4 rebounds. I don't know about you folks, but I'm watching Buddy Hield play. And beside the shooting is like the obvious thing, right? I mean, he's always been known for that, but the defense is impressive. The ball handling is impressive. The aggressiveness is impressive. This is a dude that's going all out every play. And so far, so damn good. I mean, this has been an unbelievably good run with these free agents and these new additions. I mean, Lindy Waters, Buddy Hield, D'Anthony Melton, who didn't play tonight, obviously. He was hurt with a sprained knee, which we're hoping is day-to-day. As soon as I get more news on it, obviously, we'll discuss it and cover it, but chances are he'll be back soon. And then Kyle Anderson. Kyle Anderson also had a fantastic game tonight because the Warriors were facing one of the biggest teams in the NBA. If tonight was the first night you had a chance to watch Zach Edey play basketball, you saw with your own eyes, that's a large human being. That dude's like 7'2", 7'3". The wingspan is big, and he's competent. He's a competent player. He was a plus 14 in net rating tonight. Finished this game with 14 points, 10 rebounds. And part of me was a little concerned about that, because we haven't seen the Warriors take on a dude that big. The closest thing to it, I think, was Zubac, and Zubac ate him up alive. But they handled it. Kevon Looney did a fantastic job manning the fort down low. Trace Jackson Davis did a fantastic job. I'm loving that kid more and more by the day. And Kyle Anderson played a lot of minutes at both the 4 and the 5 tonight, and he held his own. And he played magnificent basketball against his former team, the Memphis Grizzlies. And as usual, the box score will not necessarily reflect a dominating night. It won't necessarily reflect one of the team's best players out there, but he was. And Kyle Anderson, again, 8 points, 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 blocks, was a +6 in net rating, was 2 of 3 from beyond the arc. Every time he puts up a 3-point attempt, he missed his first one tonight. And when he did that, his shooting style is so bizarre. His entire game is bizarre. The nickname a slow-mo is so apropos with this guy. Somebody posted a funny meme of him on one of the social media platforms where I think that the headline was Kyle Anderson right now, like RN, and it was a video of a sloth being rescued from a street. And the way this sloth was moving, you could not think of Kyle Anderson because they both just move so relaxed, but he's also so effective. And that 3-point shot of his, it's ugly. There's nothing pretty about the form. Last year, he shot 22.9% from deep. He is a career 33.5% shooter. So you live with those threes, but it's a little cringeworthy at times. And when he missed the first one, I was thinking to myself, please stop. Just stop with the 3-point attempts. You only hit 22.9% of them last year. I know you had some weird hand or wrist injury, but still, that's 22.9% is awful. He's shooting 25% this year, and I don't know if that reflects tonight's game or not. But the good news is he went on and hit his next 2 3-point attempts to finish 2 of 3 from beyond the arc, which is damn good. You 100% live with that. And Kyle Anderson has been a phenomenal addition to this team. He missed the last game because of a sprained neck. He was back tonight, and I thought did a wonderful job against his former team, the Memphis Grizzlies, who he played for before he went to Minnesota. And if my memory serves correct, he was on that 2022 Grizzlies team who pushed the Warriors to 6 games in the 2022 NBA Western Conference semifinals that the Warriors did win in 6 games. Apologies for the water break there. So, Kyle Anderson, pat yourself on the back because you played fantastic basketball tonight, despite the box score showing a meh performance. In reality, you were awesome. But nobody dominated the box score. Again, Buddy Hield led all Warriors scorers with 18. Moses Moody, who, side note, with each game that passes, I'm feeling more and more that he should be getting GP2's minutes. Like, and again, I love Gary Payton II. He was instrumental. He was pivotal to please tell me I'm not muted. Okay, good. He was absolutely vital to the title team 2.5 years ago. But the GP2 we see now is not that lockdown defender that he was. And it's not that he's necessarily hurting the team when he's out there. Tonight he was a -6 in net rating. Another player who statistically rarely lights up the box score. You don't see those contributions showing up in the stats. But I just feel for Moses Moody, because Moses Moody tonight played more than what we normally see from him. He played 16 minutes, 28 seconds. And what did he do in those 16 minutes, 28 seconds? He shot 50% from the field. He was 4 of 8. He hit 3 of his 5 3-point attempts. That's good for 60% of his 3-pointers. That's damn good. He added 3 rebounds and an assist. He was a +2 net rating. He scored 14 points in this game, second on the Warriors in scoring tonight. But despite that, he routinely gets really meager minutes. He's not playing that much. 16 minutes, 28 seconds, I'm sorry, is not a lot. And Gary Payton II, those 10 minutes and 38 seconds that he got tonight, why not give 5 more to Moses Moody? Why not give 5 more to Jonathan Kuminga? And I know Kuminga did not have a great night statistically, although he had a few insane highlight reel moments. But it could be a potential nitpick. I could understand if you interpret that and saying, why are you bitching when this team is 10-2? And I don't mean to bitch. I'm just looking at Moses Moody and Kuminga. Those 2 players, by the way, the 2 lottery picks from the 2021 draft, were 2 of the last players to come off the bench tonight for the Warriors. I think the only player that came off the bench after them was did Guy Santos play tonight? No. So they were the last 2 players off the bench. And I just don't understand that. I don't support that. I don't think those 2 players are deserving of being the end of the bench guys, which is literally what they were tonight. But with that said, I mean, the team did still play fantastic basketball. Timothy Santiago, is that a spam? Red Rocket Countdown? Like, do you have a dog that's horny? I don't really follow. Now, Ramar Hernandez writes, I've never been so pissed on the refs, especially tonight. Wholeheartedly feel you, man. My notes are filled with gripes pertaining to the referees. There were a couple of moments that applied to Stephen Curry. Stephen Curry's first field goal of the game did not come until late in the second quarter. It was a 3-point shot that absolutely, without any question, should have been a 4-point play. Now, the good news is the referees weren't biased per se, at least not from my interpretation. I did see the Grizzlies being upset at certain calls, but they were missing, man. Draymond Green, I think he's undefeated still when he clamors and advocates for a challenge, and it's not subtle. When Draymond Green wants a challenge, when he feels like he's been wronged, everyone knows it. The great news is Steve Kerr is listening to him, and tonight was no exception. He got a call for a blocking foul, which was absurd. Anybody watching could tell it was an obvious charge. In this case, though, it wasn't just a charge. It was that the offensive player, I think it was Saltama. Actually, who was it? It was Aldama. I'm sorry, Santi Aldama was the player who reached out his elbow to initiate contact on Draymond Green. And the refs, this is some obvious stuff. They call the blocking foul, they challenge it, and thankfully the refs can see on the replay, oh, we messed up. We blew this call. It was, in fact, an offensive foul. And so they reversed it. But it was still an egregious, it's just egregious to miss those kinds of plays on a routine level. Side note, Draymond Green also got a technical foul late in the game, which was wholeheartedly unnecessary. I don't even know what he was. I can't even remember what he was complaining about. This was at like the very end of the game when it was already out of reach. But Draymond Green, and I think this was on a bogus foul that they had called on Buddy Hield. Draymond wasn't happy and he got a tech. And those things do accumulate as the season goes on. So wasn't the smartest tech, but in terms of officiating, yeah, it's the fact that they routinely miss these fouls on Steph, the fact that they completely whiffed on that foul on Draymond, that it had to get challenged. And there was one other thing. Let me see if I had it in my notes, because I'm in my head, I'm thinking there was one other instance where the refs completely messed up. And if it comes back to me, I don't think I have it in my notes. But there was another moment, and maybe someone in the chat can bring it up as well. Pinot Reformat is saying, did Draymond get ejected in this game? Now, I saw the part where Steve Kerr, and this was all part of the same sequence, where Steve Kerr got animated and actually apologized to a fan sitting courtside. And this was a lady who was screaming herself. I didn't think he needed to apologize, but he still did. Yeah, so a bunch of people in the chat apologized for missing that at the end of the game. I was setting up at that point. So, and Gary's saying that Draymond lost one challenge this year. You're talking about, so he actually advocated. I missed that then. He actually advocated for a challenge and they lost. Okay. I don't recall that, but I also don't have that on record, so I will trust you. All right. So Gamer FTP adding that Draymond got ejected for that. Yeah, the officiating tonight was egregious. They were completely whiffing on both sides, and Draymond Green got ejected. I totally missed that. I apologize. Again, the end of the game was funky. The fact that the Warriors only won this game by 5, which probably does symbolize why the frustration was there. I mean, the Grizzlies just kept coming back, getting closer, when that shouldn't have been happening, and chances are frustrations boiled over there. And in my box score, yeah, ejections, Draymond Green with 1:14 remaining in the fourth quarter got ejected because of officiating incompetency. And again, there was one other instance. Telemoto saying that the game that Draymond missed was against Portland, like the first game of the season. I don't remember that, but okay. All right. Now it's bugging me, because I know there was at least one other moment in this game that maybe I posted it on social media. Sometimes I extend my notes there where I just publicly express what I'm thinking. And I don't see it. God damn it. Oh, well, what are you gonna do? Anyways, a lot of gripes for a night when the Warriors won. And again, they are 14-2, which is, 10-2, which is fantastic. But it's bugging me that I don't remember what it is that these crooked is maybe not the right word, incompetent refs. I found it. And there was another thing. Okay, I'm thanking myself here. I'm sorry for being a weirdo. There was another instance tonight where the referees completely blew it. And I give Brandon Podziemski credit, because he was doing the head whipping thing again, and he demonstrates that beautifully, where you don't need to be hearing what he's saying to understand what his point is, because he's just constantly doing this head whip back to let the officials know, dude, this guy's flopping. The flopper in question was Vince Williams Jr., a former second-round pick for the Memphis Grizzlies. He got a chunk of minutes tonight. I never really knew much about him until this game. And Vince Williams Jr. ended up playing 23 minutes, 48 seconds, was out there largely for defensive purposes, also had 9 points in this game. But there was a sequence of plays where he tried to get Stephen Curry to be called for an offensive foul because he's doing this head whip crap, which is blatant flopping. And the refs thankfully did not fall for it, and Stephen Curry hit a 3. Very next play, the Grizzlies have the ball again. He does that bullshit head whip again. It's so dishonest. It's so unethical to try to draw fouls like that. It represents everything that Americans mock with the game of soccer, and rightfully so. The flopping in soccer is embarrassing, and I don't want to see it in the NBA. I think it's beyond tacky. It's classless. It diminishes the game as a whole. So shame on you, Vince Williams Jr., for your repeated attempts at flopping, and it worked. In the second half, it fooled the referees. They called the foul on Brandon Podziemski, and Brandon Podziemski's doing the head whip thing to the ref. Like, this guy's a flopping bullshitter, man. and the refs just let it go. So the officials need to do something about the flopping. I'm never okay with that, especially when it's as egregious as that. So you're right. The refs sucked. And the good news is it didn't cost the Warriors the game, but it did cost them an ejection for Draymond Green. And that's what, 2 techs that now go on his resume for the season. That does accumulate. And I don't remember off the top of my head how many techs a player needs to accumulate before they're suspended for a game. I think it's 14. But the point is, it's ridiculous. Yeah. Anthony Merkovich, great call, saying a little Divock, referring to Vlade Divock of the Sacramento Kings, LA Lakers, and more, an infamous flopping bitch. And Pinor reformat saying, in fairness, Pods had a foul down low. Are you talking about the same play or a different play? Because this play was actually at the top of the key that they called Pods for the foul. I agree with you, Raymond Varona, that you hope Lindy Waters the third is okay. I hope so too. We talked about that a bit at the top of the show. Let's talk about Brandon Podziemski for a moment. I can't remember. I thought this was the first game that he stripped off the mask for good. I know he started taking it off the last game, but I thought he initially came in the game with the mask. So either last game or this game was the first one where he was mask free. And regardless of which game it was, we saw, thankfully, the version of Podziemski that last year led the team in net rating, that last year was on the first team all rookie for the NBA, the guy who actually makes an impact and makes a difference out there. That Podziemski, thankfully, was back tonight, because for 2 games in a row, he was struggling. And who knows what was going on? He's a human being. I don't want to hold 2 games over the head of someone for the rest of their lives. It was a 2-game stretch that sucked. Great news tonight. We saw the old Pods. He was back. He's looking better. He looked healthy. He played 27 minutes tonight. The shot was back. He made 50% of his field goals. He made 1 3-pointer. He was only 1 of 4 from deep. Again, that's a part of his game that has to improve. The 1 3 that he did make was a sweet corner 3 that was nothing but net. Still, though, for the night, 11 points, 7 rebounds, and some of those rebounds were tough boards that he was grabbing. Had 5 assists in this game, had a steal in this game, was a perfect 4 of 4 from the free throw line. So welcome back, Brandon Podziemski. Again, you got to get that 3-point shot. The percentage at a much higher rate than what it is now. And Brandon Podziemski also got some hot water, or found himself in a little hot water with the fan base, because he was interviewed recently by, I believe the guy's name is Brett Siegel of Clutch Points. Don't quote me on the name. I can't remember if that was the name of the journalist, although I'm pretty sure that's who it was. It was Brett Siegel. And he did a profile piece on Brandon Podziemski, and this came out a day or so ago. And I'll read you the quote that got Podziemski in a little hot water, and I'll share with you if you're watching this on YouTube, I'll also screen with you the attribution box so you can read along with me if it's big enough. And if you're listening on the podcast, I'll read this verbatim. This was Brandon Podziemski from a recent piece published by Clutch Points, not necessarily known for their journalism per se. I usually equate Clutch Points with awesome memes, but they do some writing. We've had Jack Winters on this show before, and hope he's feeling okay. He's been dealing with some health issues, so if he ever feels better and lets me know, I'll invite him back on the program. But anyways, this is Brandon Podziemski in this piece about him saying, quote, "I still believe I am growing in every aspect of the game. From a leadership perspective, it's just all about understanding what gets our guys going. I may still be the youngest guy on the team, but there are so many in that locker room that look up to me. That is something I didn't fully understand until I sat down and spoke with a bunch of our coaches and player development guys. Some of my teammates may be 10 years older than me, like Steph and Dre, but they still look up to me, as crazy as that sounds. I never really grasped that concept until this past offseason," unquote. First of all, Steph is closer to 15 years older than you, Brandon, just to get your math straight. And Draymond Green is about 13 years older than him, 14. But it's funky. And again, I don't know if this is what he intended, but what I read were his words. And he literally said that Stephen Curry and Draymond Green look up to him. No, they're not. No, they're not. Now, maybe in his head, what he was trying to articulate is that when he's playing on the court, that his influence might extend to certain veterans, right? And let's hope that's what it meant, because on the face of it, this quote comes off as him being insanely egotistical, insanely arrogant, to be suggesting that players 15 years older than him, one of which will go down as the greatest Golden State Warriors in the franchise's history, in addition to being one of the greatest ever, Draymond Green with one of the highest basketball IQs in NBA history, one of the greatest defenders ever, just one of the greatest all-around players. And so it was a little weird for Podziemski to say that. And again, at least on social media, from what I saw, he got some heat for that. Let's hope that's not what he meant. He's really young. So let's just hope it was just a little immature type comment. But still, he got some heat for that. And for good reason, because it is kind of ridiculous. But good news is he came back and played well tonight. And let's hope someone talks to him and says, hey, let's just not talk about Steph and Draymond publicly in the future as being lesser than you. They're not looking up to him. I promise him that. That is kind of wild. Now, speaking of, and let me see if there's anything in the chat just to check in. We're at the 35-minute mark. He's a peon, is what G Martinez says. Derek Simmons saying Pods is a G. Gamer FTP saying that he thinks this means that they hold him to high standards in terms of accountability. Zach Schmeltz saying maybe it's a character perspective. NRG Manifest, good to see you. I haven't seen you in a while. Saying that that maybe he meant that it's a respect thing. MDAA saying he's crazy. Anyways, and then Bruce Morrow saying his hair got into his brain. And his hair, by the way, just a personal thing. The Sideshow Bob look. I don't know, man. I don't know. I think you could do better than that, but that's just me. You got that full head of hair, and you want to look like Sideshow Bob. Come on, man. Come on, Pods. You could do better than that. Now, Draymond Green was awesome tonight, with the exception of the ejection at the end. But him and Jaren Jackson Jr. had themselves a duel tonight. They were going at it with each other. There was pride on the line. There was ego on the line. Those two had a little war between them. And that also could have been a part of the reason why Draymond got that T at the end. And there was emotions were running in this game tonight. Jaren Jackson Jr. is a badass. And talk about a player that would just be perfect on the Golden State Warriors. Him and Bam Adebayo. I mean, if we can dream, just let us dream. He had an awesome game. He played 32 minutes, 53 seconds, was 11 of 20 from the field. Did not hit a single three-pointer, though, and that does mean something in this game, because if Jaren Jackson Jr. was hitting threes, the Warriors would not have the lead that they had for the majority of this game. Was 10 of 11 from the free throw line, 6 boards, 32 points for Jaren Jackson Jr. And again, him and Draymond Green were talking back and forth this entire game. Draymond Green played 30 minutes and 15 seconds in this game, which is second in total minutes behind Buddy Hield, who played 4 seconds more, 30 minutes, 19 seconds. Draymond had another fantastic night. He hit 3 3-pointers tonight. Draymond Green is now on a stretch where he has 4 straight games where he has hit 2 or more 3-pointers. That's 4 games in a row he's done this. Meaning in the last 4 games, he has hit at least 9 3-pointers, because he hit 3 tonight. And then there's Tim Legler, who is the color commentator on the ESPN broadcast tonight, saying that he loves Draymond's form, that he loves the follow-through, that he loves the spin, being put on the ball. The English is beautiful. And again, we were talking about this on this program as well the other night. Like, Draymond is when he's releasing the ball, he's got this like little flip of the wrists and the thumbs as he's doing it, and the motion is smooth. I'm not gonna lie. Like even though he's still got that backpack form, when he releases it, there is just that little spin and that little follow through, which is giving some credence, some legitimacy to that ugly ass shot. And I don't think it's a coincidence that these shots are falling. Draymond Green on the year, because I'm very curious to see what his 3-point percentage is on the entire season. And I got to look that up now. Give me 1 second here because I did not have prepared. Draymond Green on the season, it's unreal, is shooting 45.7% from three. Last year, he shot 39, I believe, 0.6. It was somewhere really close to that. It was like 39 point something. And this year, it's at 45.7. Tonight, he had 3 of 7 3-point shots. They're falling at a clip that I don't think anyone imagined. He played 13. He scored 13 points in this game tonight. He added 8 boards. He added 7 assists. He added a steal and a block. He was 5 for 11 from the field total. There was one drive and layup he did that was just beautiful in the execution. And if you saw it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. 13 points on the night. Draymond Green is playing some beautiful basketball on both sides of the ball. And the Golden State Warriors entering tonight were 4th in the NBA in total defense. If they keep this up, you better give Draymond Green that second Defensive Player of the Year award. I was tonight's game where they were mentioning how 3 players out there were former Defensive Player of the Year award winners. You had Marcus Smart. I'm sorry. And kudos to him for getting 1 Defensive Player of the Year award. It was the same year that they played the Warriors in the NBA Finals. Jaren Jackson Jr. got one. Okay, and I remember that season too. It was a good season. But the fact that those 2 players have the same amount of Defensive Player of the Year awards as Draymond Green is a effing crime and a complete embarrassment in terms of the voters who decide on these things. That is some BS. That is some absolute BS. Draymond Green right now should be on pace to win a second Defensive Player of the Year award. If it's not him this year, who is it? I know people will say Victor Wembanyama. They better not be saying Rudy Gobert. That it's what a joke that he has 4 of them. But Draymond Green is doing something that Victor Wembanyama does not routinely do, and that is defend all 5 positions with elite execution. All 5. Victor Wembanyama is not shutting down point guards. Draymond Green is. So he better win that second award, is all I'm saying. And Angie, what's her name? Ange Givens 86. I hope I got that right. Writing that Draymond should have gotten the one that Marcus Smart got. Agreed. Wholeheartedly agree. Perry Olson writing in the chat that I see Draymond do those drives and layups, and I'm like, wow, he can do that? Yeah, it is. It's very impressive. Anthony Long adding in the chat a fact, as crazy as it sounds. He has a better 3-point percentage than Stephen Curry. So even though, and thank you, Scott Strayer, in the chat. I just read your compliment. So the point is that Draymond's on fire. He better win that Defensive Player of the Year award. I have no clue who the front runner is for MVP, but if Stephen Curry starts to get his scoring number up just a little bit more, and the Warriors continue winning at this clip, he's got to be in the discussion for a third MVP as well. I mean, if someone in the chat wants to tell me who's more deserving, I'm all ears. I mean, chances are you might get a Donovan Mitchell reference. Look, the Cavs are 14-0. The MVP award is a regular season award, so I can respect that. I mean, the Cavaliers, again, undefeated. Damn impressive. I mean, it really is. 14-0 is something to write home about. But outside, I mean, maybe Jason Tatum, maybe. I mean, I don't know. All I'm trying to say is that Steph, I can understand the argument that his numbers are not high enough at this point for MVP consideration, although certain players in this league, if you look at the history of it, have not always put up monster numbers, and they still won the MVP because of the spirit of the award, which is to give it to the player who has meant the most to their team in terms of success. And so Steph could still be a contender just in that regard. But regardless, yeah, and Gamer FTP bringing up a great point that when Steph plays 30 minutes this season, he scored 32, 36, and 37 points. It's just, it hasn't been a necessity. And again, the championship is the big focus here. So now Joke Giants are a joke writes, why isn't Larry doing Warriors post games? I don't know. Look, Larry and I are, we host shows together every Tuesday. We did the Friday post game last week because it was the Niners had a bye week, and so he had some free time. Larry's primary focus is the Niners. That's the bread and butter for his program, and that's going to be his number one priority. So I think he had some extra time last week, and he asked me, hey, do you want to do a post game together for a second time in a week? And I was like, sure. It's Larry Krueger. You know, we go way back. He's a legend in sports media, but he's typically a Niners guy. Beyond that, you'll have to ask him. I don't know. Regardless, and Jill Espina, great point as well, writing that, Steve is a 45% three-point shot? I don't know what that means. Jill, can you elaborate on that? Because I don't think Stephen Curry is hitting 45% of his threes. I mentioned already that Draymond Green is hitting 45.7% of his three-point shot. For the second year in a row, Draymond Green is a lethal three-point shooter. Stephen Curry, by the way, side note, on the season, 12 games in, he did miss some earlier in the season because of injury, currently shooting 43.2% from deep on the year, slightly above his career average of 42.6. Those numbers are absurd. It's just, at the moment I start getting into Stephen Curry stats, it's just, I get a shit-eating grin on my face because of how amazing of an individual he is. And he plays right here in the San Francisco Bay Area. If you're a Warriors fan, consider yourself lucky that this dude is on your team. So Draymond Green, tip of the cap to you, sir. Great game tonight. We'll talk about Steph in just a moment. I want to see if any sound has come down yet from post-game so we can hear either from Steve Kerr or from one of the players after this game. Let me see if anything has come down. I'm also going to play a clip at the end of the show from the last Warriors home game, the one against the Mavericks, the Klay Thompson homecoming. And Deebo Samuels and Ricky Pearsall were sitting courtside, and they got mic'd up. And it was awesome. So we're gonna hear that at the end of the show. Bleacher Report published a 2-minute clip of again Deebo Samuels and Ricky Pearsall talking about the Golden State Warriors. It was fantastic stuff. No sound yet, by the way, in terms of there's no sound yet. If it comes down, we'll play it on tonight's show. If not, maybe we'll have a weekend edition to be determined. Here are all the seasons, though. I'm going to show this graphic to you real fast. The beginning of the show, we talked about the fact that the Warriors have started the season 10-2 for the 6th time in franchise history. This graphic adds to that a little bit. It's a slight twist on it. These are the best starts under Steve Kerr. And I think NBC Sports Bay Area published this. Kerr's best start was obviously the 73-win season. This was back in 2015-16 when the team went 12-0. I think they started the season 24-0, ended up 73-9. And then we know how that ended, which was very depressing. In 2021-2022, the Warriors started that season 18-2. But before that, they started 11-1. We're looking at the first 12 games. And the team won the title that year. 2014-15, Kerr's first season with the team. They started the season 10-2, won the championship. 2016-17, Kevin Durant's first year with the team. They started 10-2. They won the championship. 2018-19, Kevin Durant's last year with the Golden State Warriors. They started 10-2, and we sadly know how that went. And then we have this year, 2024-25. The Warriors start the season 10-2. We're about to find out what happens. It should be an excellent ride. Stay tuned for that. We've got you covered all season long. Let me put the link here. I'm sorry. If any of you ever want to come on the show and you notice that I have not put the link in the chat, just say something. Just pester me in the chat. Bring it up a few times so I see it. The only reason why I don't do it is because I forget. I'm rolling and I have a million things on my mind at this exact moment. And then Pinoy Reef. So if you want to come on the show, the link is now in the chat. Pinoy Reformat in the chat is asking if the Warriors have, let's say, a 16-4 record or a 15-5 record after 20 games. Should a trade for a superstar still be in play? Yes, because what you're insinuating there, let's say 16-4 is the record they're at after 20 games. They're 10-2 now. So what that means is between now and the 20-game mark, the Golden State Warriors by this mark are going to be 6-2, meaning they've only won only 75% of their next 6 games. I think the who they lose to, how they lose would depend. If they go 15-5, that means they went even worse over the next 8 games. It means they went 16-4 means they would be 6-2. 15-5 means they would be 5-3. I think yes. That would mean that the team is starting to regress a little bit, and especially when you consider who the Warriors are playing in their upcoming schedule. They've got some easy ones coming up, relatively speaking. So, yeah, absolutely. But it just depends. It depends on how they lose. It depends on who they lose to. Like, if they're getting their asses kicked by teams like the Lakers and the Grizzlies, and the reason for these losses are a lack of front court depth, you probably should be looking at something, yes. But for now, that's not on my mind, just because this team is rolling. I don't know if you want to disrupt chemistry. I don't think these injuries are serious to Lindy Waters and DeAnthony Melton, although the Waters thing, we'll have to wait and see. Hyperextended knees can mean anything. Those can be really simple knee sprains. Those can have some complications that could take weeks to maybe even a month plus for a player to come back. But still, Lindy Waters is the 13th guy on the bench. So if he's out for a month, you can live without him. DeAnthony Melton, again, it would not surprise me if we see him again next game or sometime next week or in the next 2 weeks. So I think this team is fine, personally. But that is just me. Derek Simmons is back. Haven't seen you in a while, buddy. Good to see you. How are you doing? What was your reaction to this game tonight?
Hey, first off, I got to give you a shout out on 3,000 subs. Congrats to you on that.
Thank you, brother. Thank you so much, man.
So it's very hard. I know how hard the grind is.
Thank you. It is. Yeah, you're not kidding, man. Thank you so much, dude. It means the world. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially you doing it like all your own, like again, after you built up the other channel.
Yeah,
it's just
that part's crazy. That part is crazy. That part is crazy, dude. I'm not gonna lie, a little wild, a little crazy, but thank you, brother. Thank you so much. And Derek, man, the floor is yours. What do you want to talk about, dude? Let's. What's on your mind?
Okay, so somebody in the chat said that Steve Kerr shot 45% from the three. It's because I asked, because they showed in the game that Steve Kerr has a higher 3-point field goal percentage than Steph Curry, and I asked you why is that the case? Because I know that he was really good, but just to think that he's still number one. Excuse me.
Here's why, Derek. Because so the graphic you're referring to, I saw that as well, is they listed the all-time leaders in 3-point percentage. And part of the reason they showed that graphic is because Tim Legler was handling the color commentary on the ESPN broadcast, and he's also on the list. But Steve Kerr is number one. He was a damn good outside shooter. That was pretty much his whole game. He would also sometimes play like a backup point guard role, but defensively, he was a massive liability. His entire game was that outside shot, but he kept it up as high as he did, A, because he's really good, but B, because there were seasons where sometimes he'd average like 8 minutes a game, where he'd show up, he'd put up like two 3-point shots, he'd make one or both of them, and you never see him again. And so he was just able to keep that percentage as high as it was, but he just was a lethal 3-point shooter. That was Steve Kerr's game for his career. So I hope I answered that for you, man. I don't know if I did.
Yeah, I remember one game he was playing for San Antonio, and he came in. He didn't miss a shot. I mean, it was remarkable. It was crazy. And I still remember that like it was yesterday.
You're absolutely right. And Leo Giancarlo in the chat is just adding on to what I'm saying. Steph plays so much, and he's putting up so many more 3-point attempts. I'll try to find real fast like what Steve Kerr's like how many 3-pointers he attempted per game on average versus Steph, and you'll kind of get the comparison there. I'll look that up right now while you're talking. But what was your reaction to this game tonight, dude? And the fact that the Warriors are now 10-2 represent the fandom, man. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling damn good about that, Cyrus. Cleveland is still looking good over in the East, but also Cleveland got less competition over there as well. So I don't want to overhype Cleveland too much, but we did get blown out by them. And I think right now, as far as what the NBA looks like, it does look like we are their toughest competition, especially now when we just saw that OKC really just won against Phoenix pretty easily. And we handed OKC a pretty bad L, you know what I mean? So,
hell yeah, yes. And again, the Suns without Kevin Durant are exposed. They're an okay team at best without him. Like, they desperately need Kevin Durant to come back soon, man. So I'm totally with you, man. Keep going. I'm sorry. I feel like I'm taking
But even if Kevin Durant comes back, how durable is Kevin Durant? And if you need Kevin Durant that much, then you're in trouble. Steph Curry just sat down the whole time fourth. He was laughing on the bike talking about the Mike Tyson fight.
Dude, by the way, what did you watch that?
I talked to my cousin a little bit. He said it was a waste of time.
Complete waste of time. You missed nothing. Mike Tyson looked old. Part of me wonders if there was some mercy being applied to him, because part of me wonders if he could have gotten his ass kicked tonight, and it was like watching an old man and the other dude. What is his name? I always forget. I just feel like there was mercy there being given, that it could have been a knockout. It was ugly, and the whole fight was just dancing around. There was no like heavy punches thrown. It was boring. It was dull, dude.
Yeah. They hyped it all up with all these celebrities, and it was just a money grabber, for the most part.
And going to the Steve Kerr, Stephen Curry comparison, and hopefully this answers your question, because the comparison is stark, man. Stephen Curry for his career, on average, makes 3.9 3-pointers per game, and he attempts 9.2. Steve Kerr for his career made on average 0.8 3-pointers per game, and he attempted on average 1.8 3-pointers. So it's 1.8 attempts versus 9.2 attempts.
Right.
And that's why Stephen Curry's not as high as Steve Kerr.
If you don't know the math and you don't know the history, you look at that and, like, imagine a kid just saw that stat and he sees Steve Kerr number one, right? And you're like, oh my God, like, what? I got to look up Steve Kerr highlights. You know what I mean?
I mean, don't get me wrong, man. Like, Steve Kerr for the rest of his life will always have a game-winning shot to win a championship, right? I mean, that is on his resume. Michael Jordan set him up nicely the same way he set up John Paxson in the first for his first three when he had a different point guard. But yeah, man, he was a role player, especially in the San Antonio days. Like, I don't know if you're old enough or if you remember when he played there. Like, it sounds like you did. I think you mentioned that you remember watching him play with the Spurs. He barely played. Like, he was like, I think he averaged 5 minutes a game or something like that. Let me look it up. But with the Spurs, I'm sorry, a little more than that. He averaged 8.4 minutes per game. Okay, let me start over real fast. In 99, when the Spurs won the championship, he averaged 16.7 minutes per game. So it was like a Moses Moody type of run, if you want to put it in comparison there. The second year with the Spurs, 8.4. Third season with the Spurs, 11.8. And then he played with Portland for a year, which I don't remember at all. He averaged 9, and then came back to the Spurs for the final year of his career in 2003 and averaged 12.7 minutes per game. So he was a total role player. Not horrible, but not good. He was like an average.
I was just thinking this game. I was just constantly thinking about the Chicago Bulls days, because I was like, it's crazy that Steve Kerr is coaching the Warriors, and the Warriors are going against Scottie Pippen Jr. And also we have Gary Payton II, and Gary Payton's father had a great rivalry against Michael Jordan. And so it's just like everything's just coming in full circle. So I was very, what's the word? Nostalgic? Is that the word for it?
Yeah.
I'm feeling very nostalgic today.
Yeah. Nostalgic. If you're feeling sentimental. Yeah, absolutely, dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
But we're at a great time now, man, because this Warriors team, it's wild what they're doing. It's just we're to be alive at this period where the Warriors dynasty, like, people were saying this dynasty is dead. No, they're not. No, they're not. They might win a championship this year.
And that's why Steph was so emotional, I believe, on Tuesday. And when he hit that shot and then he went up to that camera, like I was so loud, Cyrus, and I was screaming along with him. And I think it was just a shot at just stop disrespecting me. Stop saying that I'm done. Where at the time they were 9-2. You know, you said that the Dynasty's over because Klay was gone. And that's what people were saying, like, oh, it was because Klay said that he didn't want Steph to do the speech. I don't think that's what it was. Maybe it was partly because of that, but I believe that it was like people were saying, no, this is the final nail in the coffin. Klay's gone. You're done. No, I'm not done. I'm just getting started.
Well, like you hear Steph talk a lot about the sacrifices individuals have to make, especially when it comes to your ego, right? And that includes like looking at the minutes you have to play and whether you're starting or finishing games like that. Like the starting part of it meant way too much to Klay Thompson. Like he cared. And the point I'm trying to make here, sorry, man, I'll finish real fast here, is like I think Stephen Curry took it personally that his friend, this guy that he has won 4 titles with, went to wars with, was not willing to put his own ego aside to keep this run going. Because you know what I'm saying? Like and I can't blame Steph for being pissed off about that. But he also, so I'm with you, dude. Like the emotions that spilled out, and that was a shot of the year so far, dude. That was a shot.
That was a shot of the year. Then that was the game of the year.
Agreed.
But we can all say that if Klay was on this team right now, we're not 10-2 right now.
No.
You know what I mean? So that was very detrimental. Now, if Klay put aside his ego and Steve Kerr can use him as spurts and stuff like that, I think that there's room for him to be on the team. But not with those heavy minutes no more. I mean, in big games, 2 years in a row. I mean, no points against the Kings in the play-in tournament, right? And then the year before that, when we got eliminated by the Lakers, I mean, it was 0 again. I mean, he'll show up throughout the season when it kind of don't matter, but we need it when it matters. You know what I mean? And so it did hurt to see that decline. And I'm a big Klay fan. I got Klay Thompson jerseys. So if there's a chance that Klay Thompson's watching this, I am your fan. I mean, no disrespect at all. I don't want to come off as I'm disrespecting Klay Thompson.
You're fine, dude. You're fine.
Yeah, because we have those 4 titles because of him. But I'm just saying, like, you got to be aware of the team and not. There's no I in team. That's basically
exactly, man. In the same way that people will criticize the younger players who might want to play more. Look, and especially this year, I think there's a big reason you're noticing like Kuminga and Moody not showing any negative energy toward the minutes. It's pretty apparent that they're all on the same page and they're very cognizant that this team is special and could do great things this year. Like, and the fact that Kuminga and Moody are willing to play less minutes, they're willing to jumpstart and kickstart their careers in terms of accumulating huge stats to have big career numbers, right? Because a lot of these players think about that if your minutes are shortened early in your career, you're not going to have the chance to get these huge career numbers and get into the record books. Like some of these guys care about that. And that's a sacrifice that these young players are making for Steve Kerr and the Warriors is, look, championships mean more. You'll be remembered much longer being a champion than you will be for putting up 25, 30 points a game. And they're buying in, man. And that's huge. And especially for Jonathan Kuminga in a contract year to be just like be copacetic with coming off the bench, that's incredible. And Klay Thompson could not do that. Klay Thompson put himself over the team. And so you could see Steph clearly was not cool with that. Dude, that shot, and there was I know this could be hyperbolic. I get it if you think this, but that shot reminded me a lot of Michael Jordan's final shot with the Bulls, except this one was deeper. I know they didn't win a championship, but the form, the fact that it was also still in the middle, nothing but net, only deeper. Instead of top of the key, we're talking like 25, 26 feet. It was beautiful, dude. That's one I'm going to remember for the rest of my life.
Cyrus, it was an out-of-body experience. Steph Curry is he literally turns fantasy into reality. And just when you think you see enough, he does it again. I mean, I didn't think that we was going to get a moment like that soon, right after the Olympics. I mean, what he did at the end of that Olympic game, it was an out-of-body experience. And then my wife, you could see how my wife was looking at me. She was like, you don't look at me the way that you do Steph. I'm like you don't understand. Like, she doesn't understand what we're watching. You know what I mean? Like, this is not normal. This is not normal. This is like movie. You couldn't write that better in a movie. Like, the stuff that he's doing, it's incredible.
Derek, I guarantee you there are a lot of people in this audience who completely feel you and understand where you're coming from in terms of having a partner, a spouse who just doesn't get it, man. They just do not understand why we love watching this, rooting for this the way we do. Like my ex-wife, like, she never, I mean, she would support it, but she never understood, like, when I'm sitting there screaming at a TV or something. They just don't get it. They just don't get it. And that's okay. I'm not sitting here judging them for that. But I get you. I feel you, because I've been in those shoes as well. It's just, look, we are interested in something that in a lot of ways is bigger than us, you know? And I don't know about you, but I grew up on this. It's the best escape I could imagine is watching my Warriors. And yeah, man, some people, I guarantee you there's a lot of folks who just heard or listened to you or will in the recording and are thinking to themselves, yeah, my husband and wife doesn't get it at all. Like, and yeah, I feel you, man.
It keeps us as children. It really does. You know, it keeps us in that childlike state. You know what I mean? And so that's why I would rather watch the Golden State Warriors game, especially this year, than a Mike Tyson fight, because I don't know what's going to happen. You don't.
and you're absolutely right, man. Leo Giancarlo adding Klay leaving is a part of why we're so good. Wholeheartedly agree. Yeah. Klay leaving allowed the Warriors to get Kyle Anderson, to get DeAnthony Melton, to get Buddy Hield, who was second on the team in scoring. So, yeah, it worked out in the end, at least on the Golden State Warriors side so far. Derek, any final thoughts before we move on and I start wrapping this thing up?
No, night.
Night. And thank you again, man. Thank you for your support. It means the world. In case I don't say it enough, dude, it does mean a shitload to me. So thank you. Thanks, Derek.
Yeah, I thank you for the show too.
Yeah, thanks. I'll see you soon. I'll see you in one of the upcoming postgame shows, man. Have a great night, Derek. Coming to us live from Las Vegas. And part of the reason why I wanted to cut out Derek and to everyone else is because there is sound here from Draymond Green where he was taking questions from the media after the game, and the topic came up, and I haven't seen this yet myself, of the second technical and why he got it. So let's hear from Draymond Green. Very short soundbite, and chances are the audio won't be great, so crank up your speakers to hear this. This is Draymond Green, courtesy of 95.7 The Game, the flagship radio station of the Golden State Warriors, talking about that second technical.
For your second technical, did you get an explanation? I don't need an explanation. I did my job. My job was done for the night. We won. Moving on.
That's it. So no explanation of any kind. He did his job and he moved on. Now, Carson Taylor has dropped $4.99, and thank you for that. Obviously, considering this is a business, if you drop ducats, I will read your comment to the public and address it. Carson writes, I can't stand Wiggs anymore, man. He has no bag. His shots are a flying brick. All he's good for is defense and rebounding. He half-asses so much in my eyes. Oof, that's scathing. Tonight, offensively, and look, the offense for Wiggins, if there is a difference between the 2022 Wiggins, who was an all-star, who was, I don't think anyone's even arguing with this point, he was the second best player on a championship team. Now, Andrew Wiggins tonight, to give you some perspective, because we haven't really talked about him much, 13 points in this game, 5 of 14 from the field. That's not good. 1 of 4 from deep. That's not good. That's 25%. 1 trip to the free throw line. That's not good. 2 rebounds total. 1 assist. He did have 1 steal and 1 block, which is a testament to his defense. He was a +4 net rating, so they were playing winning basketball when he was out there. That's the stat line for Andrew Wiggins. Now, the Andrew Wiggins eye test for this season shows a guy that physically is resembling the 2022 version. And what I mean by that is night after night, he is bringing the force and tenacity that identified his game in 2022. It's the version we remember. The individual that was powerful out there and who bullied people on a night-by-night basis. And I think we are seeing that version of him this year. What we're not seeing on a consistent basis is offense. And to put it in some more perspective from you, if we look at his season numbers, which I'm going to pull up right now, and I guess while I'm doing this, Carson, I'd love to, as a follow-up question to you and to anyone else who is displeased with Andrew Wiggins, who would you rather see playing? Like, would you rather have Moses Moody getting his minutes? Would you rather have Kuminga getting more minutes? So Andrew Wiggins on the season, he's played 9 games. He started the year with he missed most of the preseason because of illness. Well, I forgot his injury. He had, was it a back concern? I think he had early in the season. So Wiggins is playing 27.3 minutes a game. He's averaging 14.7 points a game, which is the second lowest of his career, the lowest being last season. So he's brought up the scoring average from a year ago. That's a good news. But it's still below what his career average is, which is 18.5. He's, I think, 4th on the team in scoring total. I'll pull that up in just a second as well. So offensively, not quite where it was. His 3-point shooting percentage this year is 38.1%. That's fine. You can more than live with that. His shooting percentage, the title season was 39.3% from deep. So it's about a percentage point below that. His field goal percentage is at 43.7. That's not great. That does need to go up. He shot 46.6% from the field the title year. He's a 44.9% field goal percentage shooter for his career. So I think, look, if the Warriors were losing games, I would be 100% with you, because when I look at this roster from 1 through 14, the first thing that comes to my mind in terms of wants and desires and, improvements is more of the new, less of the old. And what I mean by that is, like, I look at Gary Payton II, and I'd rather have Moses Moody get those minutes. I look at Kevon Looney, and I'd rather have Trayce Jackson-Davis get those minutes. When it comes to Andrew Wiggins, and again, this is what my curiosity is for you to follow up on this, please. Oh, here we go. And you wrote it down. So is who do you want seeing instead? And Carson, you responded with, you'd love to see Lindy Waters get those 15 minutes a game. Okay. So here's where I stand. Here's how I'll answer that. And look, we're talking about it, Carson, so I hope you got your money's worth. They're 10-2. They're currently one of, and you could make the argument, they're the best team in one of the deepest conferences in NBA history. The Western Conference this year is stacked, and that's an understatement. And the Warriors are 10-2, and his defense has been a huge part of that. I know you try to diminish that. Defense is very important. It's not something you just kind of say just because his defense is so well. You can't just diminish that contribution to his game. It's huge. Like his defense on players like Luka Doncic and wearing people like that down. Absolutely important. It's a necessity for this team. I would be with you in terms of the frustration if we were seeing Wiggins stealing minutes from other people. And I don't know if Terry Stotts, I don't know if Jerry Stackhouse is adding some influence here in terms of diversifying the minute distribution. Like what I'm trying to say is if the Warriors had the same coaching staff this year as they did the last 2 years, I do think we'd see more of the same. Like I do think Kevon Looney will be getting too many minutes. I think Andrew Wiggins is getting 27 minutes a game right now, would probably be getting closer to 34. So we have a coaching staff that's adding some common sense to a lot of the personnel decisions. And we have to remember they're 10-2 with one of the best defenses in the NBA. And that defense has always been top-notch when they're winning titles. It's a common theme, besides Stephen Curry being the best player in the world, is the defense has been outstanding, borderline lockdown, making life difficult for opponents for literally every possession. And Wiggins is a part of that. So we can't diminish that. Now, if the Warriors decided to trade Wiggins, would I shed a tear? No. I do think the Warriors can live without him. But winning is the goal, right? I mean, it's competitive sports where the entire purpose is to win. This is not Pee Wee football. This is not CYO basketball where they give participation trophies and ribbons. This is the pros. This is the show. And when you're at this level, it's all about wins. Nothing else matters. And the Warriors are winning. And he's a huge part of that. So I guess what I'm going to ask you is, just so you don't pain yourself, is they're winning with him playing. And now, if your argument is, well, these games are closer because of him, we can have a discussion about that. But I would say save your energy and don't stress yourself out over it, because he is contributing in a positive manner. And Lindy Waters is hurt right now. I did love seeing him play out there. I'm a huge Lindy Waters fan. I think that was an excellent pickup for this team. So I hear you. The offense could be better, but what he's doing on defense and what he's doing in terms of the energy he's bringing this year, to me, cannot be diminished. And I'm rolling with it. It's not hurting the team. When it comes to minutes for other players, again, I think Gary Payne II should be further down the pecking order than he is right now. But I'm sorry you feel that way, man. I feel you. I get it. But this year, to me, I think Wiggins is doing enough. But and the flow in the chat is adding that they remember people were suggesting trading Wiggins the 2022 year. I don't remember that. I think Wiggins is the type of player that comes in handy in playoff matchups when he's tasked to guard the opponent's best players. I agree. Chef A in the chat writing that Wiggins drove me nuts last year. He was checked out for the last 2 years. You're absolutely right. Nick the Greek saying that Wiggins locked down the best perimeter guys. There is no substitute currently in the roster. Kuminga is the other guy, but he's not Wiggins level defensively. He's close, but I would give a very slight edge to Wiggins right now as well. Carson Taylor, another donation. All right. Saying that Wiggins is a bona fide Gary Payne II. But he's tall. He brings a lot more to the table, though. I mean, he's a much more diverse player offensively. He's a much better ball handler, much better shooter. I don't agree with that comparison. Wiggins brings a lot more to the table than GP2. But I hear you. Damien LaRoche is now here. Welcome. Saying if the pattern persists, we should win 4 more championships in a row when going 10-2. And Nick the Greek adding that Wiggins is very strong, and I agree. Pinoy Reformat adding, and I'm very sorry I hope your mom ended up being okay. If not, my condolences, brother, or sister. I don't know what your gender is, but writing Pinoy is saying that you left your job to take care of your mom when she got cancer, and that you understand how Wiggins felt last year. Last 2 years. It was a 2-year thing. So anyways, I really hope your mom is okay. And if not, my sincerest condolences, man. That's just, life is hard a lot of the time. Ion throwing $5 down, saying that Wiggins is locked down, that we need to keep him. Yeah, look, I don't think the Warriors are looking at anything right now in terms of transactions. This is why mess up a good thing, right? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And that's the case here. Now ATGYY brings up a point that I wanted to touch on, and I was going to. And since you wrote it, let's touch on it now, which is a fact that I don't think a lot of people are aware of, which is that Jonathan Kuminga leads the Warriors in free throw attempts, and which is not surprising. Last year he was second in this category. Was he second or first? I can't remember now. Now I can't remember. But so Andrew Wiggins, Jonathan Kuminga on the season, in terms of free throws, he needs to get the percentage up. If he's going to lead the team in attempts, and he's doing that because of how efficient of a driver he is, how lethal he is when he decides to attack. Dude, the speed is just, you can't contain that. I am so excited for Jonathan Kuminga 2-3 years from now. Like when we start seeing like the apex, like I really just, I get a smile on my face thinking about that, because I think what we're going to see is going to be something very special. But right now, Jonathan Kuminga is only shooting 64.6% for his free throw percentage. And he was 2 of 4 tonight. He made his first 2. They looked damn good. It was nothing but net, and then he bricked his next 2. He has to improve on that. I don't know if he's not going through his customary free throw drills, because his free throw percentage this year, which again, 64.6, no bueno. That is not good. It's 10 points below his average last year. Literally. A year ago, he averaged 74.6% in terms of free throw shooting. He's now at 64.6. He has to get that up. He has had 48 free throw attempts this season, which again leads the Golden State Warriors, but he's only made 31 of them. So on one hand, I think Kuminga needs to be respected for the fact that he's doing what most of the Warriors players do not do, which is draw fouls, and drawing fouls is testament in terms of setting up your defense, right? Because if you're drawing fouls, the other team can't push the ball, right? So you're getting a set defense every time. You're making your defense's life easier. You're making the other team's offense harder, and it's important for that reason. It's important for building up team fouls for each quarter. So if you get fouled for, let's say, a loose ball, you're going to the free throw line. It's also important for driving up foul numbers for individuals on other players, right? I mean, it's a good thing to have another team's player foul out. And that's only going to happen if you're drawing fouls. The Warriors don't have a lot of players who do that. Kuminga is one of them. Wiggins is one of them. Stephen Curry, thankfully, is one of them. And those are really the only 3 who are consistently getting to the free throw line. So on one hand, kudos to Kuminga for improving on that part of his game, where he's drawing even more fouls than he was a year ago. You got to start making them, though. 64.6%. It is not acceptable. Now, the flow saying Moses Moody's shot looks great. Yes, wholeheartedly agree. And that's where I wish Moses Moody got more minutes. I don't think he plays enough. Carson Taylor, you're on fire tonight. Adding that Jonathan Kuminga also leads the league. I did not know this. I got to do my research to confirm this myself. But Carson, if that's true, bravo, man. That is a great point to bring up. That Jonathan Kuminga, I got to do my research on this, because if this is true, I'm definitely blasting it. That Jonathan Kuminga leads the NBA in scoring off the bench. And he's not even the 6th man. He's like routinely the 9th or 10th guy off the bench. Now, he is finishing games at the close of the first half and at the end of the game, which is great news in terms of the overall picture for the Warriors, because the Warriors seem to have their death lineup set, right? Stephen Curry, DeAnthony Melton, Andrew Wiggins, who's Carson's favorite player, Jonathan Kuminga, and Draymond Green. That is your elite 5, and that 5 could win a title. I could see it. So the great news is that part of it is dialed in, but I didn't know Kuminga was coming off the bench and leading the entire NBA in scoring. That's wild. I got to look that up. Excuse me. So anyways, and yeah, ATGYY, I do wholeheartedly agree that Jonathan Kuminga is the starter on 29 other teams. The good news is he will be a starter for the Golden State Warriors for many years to come. And his role right now seems to be copacetic. I mean, the Warriors are winning, right? So, yeah, and just to add ATGYY, yes, Kuminga's closing every game. And if you notice, they're winning. Great things happen when Kuminga plays, and kudos to that awesome coaching staff. I wanted to add as well, real fast, a tip of the cap to Jerry Stackhouse, the team's unofficial defensive coordinator. We learned this in the broadcast tonight, courtesy of Cassidy Hubbard, who was doing the sideline reporting. She reported that she learned during, I don't know when she learned this, but apparently she spoke with Jerry Stackhouse. And one of Stackhouse's tactics is giving out defensive report cards after every game. And I would love to see what these report cards look like, but he literally gives every player a report card with grades in there depending on certain categories. And I guess I'd be very curious to know what the categories are, right? Like, are you grading someone for, is it for aggressiveness? Are you grading someone for proper switches? Are you grading someone for keeping your hands up? Or I would love to see what that is. But the point is, this is one of Jerry Stackhouse's tactics. The Warriors did not have this the last 2 years. And you heard Connor Letourneau on the show last week talk about how Steve Kerr has not had someone on his staff since Mike Brown, who the players really trusted in terms of defense. So the Jerry Stackhouse edition has been huge, and something tells me the Terry Stotts edition has also been huge, even if his influence and impact has been a lot more subtle. But yeah, every player is getting a defensive report card after each game, and the players love it. Draymond Green is constantly giving credit to Jerry Stackhouse for his role on this team as a coach. It is incredible. It's absolutely incredible. I want to see if there's anything else in my notes that I need to add before we hit the NBA scoreboard and wrap tonight's show up. And when I wrote this in my notes, when the first half ended, there was only one player who was in double figures, and I'm very curious to know who that was because that part I did not have written down. But tonight was an example of this team distributing the scoring across a lot of different players. Again, 6 players scored in double figures. The top scorer tonight only had 18, and that was Buddy Hield. At the end of the first half, if my stats are correct, the only player in double figures was Jaren Jackson Jr. with 13. The Warriors didn't have anybody in double figures at the end of the first half, but everyone did score. Literally, everyone did score, except for Pat Spencer, who did not play, and then Trace Jackson Davis had 0 points in the first half. He finished the game with 9 points, 6 rebounds to go with 2 assists. Trace Jackson Davis has been fantastic. 17 minutes, 42 seconds of this game. You saw him play a little more than usual, partly because of what the Grizzlies were presenting with Zach Edey, who is a manster. In case you don't know what a manster is, it's a half man, half monster. They're out there. Zach Edey's one of them. They're scary. And he's a big boy. So the Warriors, you saw Kevon Looney getting 12 minutes, 30 seconds in this game. Trace Jackson Davis, 17:42. And Kyle Anderson played 19 minutes, 3 seconds. A lot of those minutes were played alongside Draymond Green, and those two were manning the front line and doing a fantastic job. So kudos. Kudos to the Warriors. Kudos to all of you. The Warriors are damn good, folks, in case you haven't heard. That's what the news is telling us. Best team in the West. Any final things in the chat that we need to address? Pinor reformats adding that Kuminga earned that closing position after the Rockets game. Great point. And I'm glad you brought that up because someone else in the chat, and Damian LaRoche, let me finish this all real fast because someone else in the chat brought up the fact that the Houston Rockets are in fact for real. And that win by the Warriors in that game meant more than it did at that time. Because you do see some critiques from people out there that the Warriors' strength of schedule has not been the best, that they've kind of coasted up until this point, which, side note, is total bullshit. But that Rockets game meant a lot more, especially now, than it did then. That's a damn good team. And Jonathan Kuminga was the hero of that game. So wholeheartedly agree with you there. Damian LaRoche, I apologize for missing this earlier in the show, dropping $2. You're already a Golden Dazer. You don't have to add the extra money, but thank you. Saying congrats on 3K. Yeah, we're now at 3,000 subs, and we're not going anywhere. This show, I envision this show going for 19 years. That is my prediction. So how I look will be something you'll witness if you're around for as long as I am hosting this thing. I'm going to look very different, folks, by the time I decide to hang it up. But this thing will be going around. We'll be going for a very long time, and I hope you join me on this ride. And thank you, Damien, who shares a lot of love and support on this program. That is awesome, man. Thank you very much. And as I mentioned before, if the Warriors win a 5th championship, I will get a Steve Kerr tattoo, and I'll never criticize him again. Matt Brotherton in the chat saying that Zach Edey and Steven Adams, yeah, they're 2 mansters. Yeah, you can't mess with the manster. It's I wish the Warriors had a manster. And the sole reason I want that is just so Stephen Curry's life is easier. I know it would be. But Perry Olsen saying just 19, not 20. Yeah, 19. 19 is the right number. Maybe even 18, but most likely 19. All right, let's go around the NBA to wrap it up on a beautiful Friday night that saw a very boring boxing match between the Paul guy and He's a twin, right? Speaking of mansters, the guy that Mike Tyson fought, that's a manster as well. And he's got a twin. Is it Jake Paul? Is that his name? So Mike Tyson, rest in peace in terms of your boxing career. We are not going to see that ever again, and justifiably so. And kudos on a Friday night to the Golden State Warriors. The final score did not reflect the game. The final score shows the Warriors winning this by 5 points, 123-118. In reality, they had this game in the bag. They were in control for most of it. And then the Grizzlies just made a push at the end. The Grizzlies scored 40 fourth quarter points. That is why this game came to within 5 at the buzzer. The Golden State Warriors had 33 assists in this game. They lost the points in the paint battle, 62-42. Again, that's because the Grizzlies have quite a few large human beings on that team getting easy buckets. Jaren Jackson Jr. Included. He was a huge part of it. The Warriors won the fast break points battle in this game, 20-13. And in terms of rebounding, they won that battle. They had 56 total rebounds to 54 for the Memphis Grizzlies. The Grizzlies had 22 assists to the Warriors 33, as I mentioned a moment ago. And let's go around the scoreboard. Let's see what the rest of the NBA is doing on Cup Night, the Emirates NBA Cup. Emirates. They're an airline from the Middle East. Okay. So we're going to start off with the game that I caught a part of. Anthony Edwards hit an unbelievable shot to seal this one in overtime for the Minnesota Timberwolves, who defeated the Warriors' little brothers up north, the Sacramento Kings, in Sacktown. No beam being lit tonight. 130-126 the final. The Minnesota Timberwolves improving to 7-6 on the year. The Sacramento Kings dropping to 7-6. I'm looking forward to that game. I think the Warriors' depth is going to overwhelm a lot of teams, Sacramento included. The OKC Thunder, in a defensive battle, defeated the Phoenix Suns tonight. That was a good match. 199. I'm sorry. The score was 99-83. I'm sorry. I'm not. Hold on one second here. I got to get my top performers so I can let you know who played good in these games, who led the way. There they are. Okay, sorry about that. So your top performers in the Kings Timberwolves game, real fast. De'Aaron Fox had 60 points in the loss, but they lost. Added 7 assists, 3 steals. Anthony Edwards with 36 points in the win. 60 points. Whew. Bravo, but you did not win. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander scored 28 points, added 6 rebounds for the Thunder in their 99-83 win over the Suns. Royce O'Neal listed as the top performer for the Suns by ESPN with 11 points and 7 rebounds. If that's your top performer, you did not win the game. The New Orleans Pelicans defeated the Denver Nuggets in New Orleans, 101-94. Brandon Ingram, 29 points, 9 rebounds, 7 assists. Michael Porter Jr. listed as a top performer for the Nuggets, 24 points, 6 rebounds. I am going to look up the box score on this because I'm curious how Nikola Jokic did. Did he not play? Oh, well, that explains why the Nuggets lost. Nikola Jokic did not play, and I don't know why. Let me see if I can quickly find that without sacrificing the integrity of the program. I don't know why. Maybe someone in the chat can enlighten everyone else. But yeah, Nikola Jokic was out. Let me see here. I'm very curious. Here we go. Okay. Oh, so Nikola Jokic and Michael Malone missed this game for personal reasons. Really? Mike Malone missed the game to watch his daughter, Bridget, compete in a high school volleyball playoff match. And this is crazy. If someone in the chat has more information on this, please enlighten me and everyone else. Nuggets lead assistant David Adelman took over from Lone and said the most difficult challenge of stepping in was that Nikola is not here. Adelman said he did not know how long Jokic will be out. Jokic had 4 consecutive triple-doubles. Quote, it's personal reasons for him. It's things at home. For somebody, that's their business. When he feels like he's ready to come back, he'll come back. What the F? Does anyone in the chat know what's going on? Oh, and Pinot reformat. I haven't even talked about Kuminga. I'll just read his box line real fast. Statistically, not a great night for Kuminga. He was tenacious out there and aggressive, but he played 17 minutes, 59 seconds, was only 3 of 13 from the field. Not a good night for him. He was 0 of 4 from beyond the arc. I talked about his free throws, how he was only 2 of 4 there. 4 rebounds. You want to see more there as well. 2 assists. And what I took away from this for Kuminga real fast, and a huge reason I thought why statistically he struggled is because of the fact that the Warriors played a bigger team. Kuminga, when he's forced to play the 4 for extended minutes and when he's expected to play and defend bigger guys like Jaren Jackson Jr., who he was matched up with for a lot of this game tonight, he's just not as good. He's not at a place where yet, and I hope he gets to a point in his career where he can even play the 5, but he's not there right now. Right now, in his mind, he's a 3. And he does play the 4 regularly, but when the Warriors play a team like the Grizzlies, who are huge, usually that's what I notice is the pattern with Kuminga. His stats suffer because he's asked to basically be the Sean Marion type that Steve Kerr routinely wants from him. Gilbert Arbalo is asking if I'm going to bring my gambling guy back on. Yeah, let's do it. I'm glad you reminded me. I will bring him on. I know exactly what you're talking about, Gilbert. We will do that. But in regards to Nikola Jokic, nothing. All right. So that is weird. That is very weird, and I'm sure we'll learn more about that as in the days to come. But it is not a normal night in the NBA when Nikola Jokic is just disappearing without reasons given. That is bizarre. The Houston Rockets defeated the LA Clippers, who I believe is the next opponent for the Golden State Warriors. Let me check my schedule. If you ever see me looking at my phone during the broadcast, because I'm looking at the schedule, it's my wallpaper. So the Warriors will next play the LA Clippers Monday night in the Intuit Dome or Intuit Arena, whatever they're calling that place. So we'll finally get a chance to watch for 48 straight minutes with great interest the Wall and its impact on the Golden State Warriors. So the Clippers played tonight, and they lost to the Houston Rockets in Houston. Final score, 125-104. Jabari Smith Jr. leading the way for the Rockets with 28 points, 11 rebounds. James Harden, 21 points, 6 rebounds in the loss for the Clippers. Harden is beginning to struggle after his hot start to the season. He was a huge reason why the Clippers won that game against the Warriors earlier this year, but he's regressing. And he's 35. And I'll tell you this with certainty, and I've heard this from multiple people behind the scenes. Harden, and I don't think it's any big news thing, but from what I've heard, James Harden parties like no other. The dude loves his sauce. The dude loves his late nights, but he's also one of those guys who just has that incredible reserve of energy that just keeps him going. Now, unfortunately, he's a human being like all of us, and time will catch up. And it does seem to be catching up to him now because he does not look like he's in perfect shape, and he's starting to struggle a little bit. And so are the Clippers. The Clippers dropped to 6-7 on the year. The Rockets are now 9-4. The LA Lakers defeated the San Antonio Spurs tonight, 120-115. Anthony Davis, a terrific night for him, and a terrific season so far for him. 40 points, 12 rebounds in the win. Victor Wembanyama, 28 points, 14 rebounds in the loss for the Spurs. The New York Knicks, in a battle of New York, defeated the Brooklyn Nets 124-122. Jalen Brunson, 37.7 assists in the win. Cam Thomas, a scoring machine. empty points, but points nonetheless. Had 43 points for the Brooklyn Nets. The Knicks are now 6-6 on the year. The Brooklyn Nets improved to 5-8. The Cleveland Cavaliers remain undefeated. 144-126 winners at home against the Chicago Bulls. Davion Mitchell, that's his name, right? Right? Hold on. Am I thinking of that former Kings guard? Donovan Mitchell. Jesus. Okay, it's getting late. How long have we been going for here? Jesus, 1 hour, 40 minutes. All right. My brain is starting to melt. That's why. So the Cavaliers defeated, again, the Bulls 144-126. Donovan Mitchell, 37.7 rebounds in the win for Cleveland. Nikola Vucevic, 25 points, 8 rebounds in the loss for the Bulls. Again, the Cavaliers 14-0. The Warriors back in 2015-16 started the season 24-0. The Bulls dropped to 5-8. The Atlanta Hawks defeated the Washington Wizards 129-117. Daniels leading the way. Dyson Daniels for the Atlanta Hawks with 25.6 steals. Star for the Wizards, 20 points, 7 rebounds, 4 steals in the loss for the Wizards. Star has the potential to be a great player. Alexander Star. I was looking for his first name there. The Detroit Pistons. Oh, real fast. Sorry. The Wizards are now 2-9 on the season. The Hawks improved to 6-7. The Detroit Pistons, currently a play-in team, which is crazy. Good for them. 99-95 winners over the Toronto Raptors. Michael Beasley, 20 points for the Pistons. Jakob Poeltl, 25 points, 18 rebounds, 3 blocks for the Raptors in the loss. 2 more games. We're almost there. The 76ers continue their abysmal start to the season. They lose to the Orlando Magic 98-86 in Orlando. The Magic improving to 8-6. Philly is now 2-10. But just to show you how pathetic the Eastern Conference is, despite the fact that the Philadelphia 76ers are 2-10 to start the year, they are only 2.5 games behind the Bulls for the 10th and final play-in spot. The Milwaukee Bucks, who are a pathetic 4-8, are just a game and a half out of the play-in. That is how bad the Eastern Conference is. And last but not least, the Miami Heat defeated the Indiana Pacers in Indiana 124-111. The Heat improved to 5-6. The Pacers dropped to 5-7. Bam Adebayo, 30 points, 11 rebounds, 7 assists in the win. Tyrese Halliburton, 18 points, 8 assists in the loss. Tyrese Halliburton, at this point a year ago, when he was leading the Pacers to the in-season championship game, the in-season tournament title game, I mean, people were talking about him being the next great thing. And man, has that stopped. Still a good player, but I mean, a year ago, I was thinking to myself that the Kings got robbed in that trade where they got Domantas Sabonis. Now I'm back to thinking it was an even swap. And Gilbert Abalo, thank you. I said Michael Beasley, Malik Beasley. Thank you for correcting me on that. I know you just listed a bunch of other Cavs players as well. Let's see here. Pinoy reformat. He put Zion with a question mark. He's been hurt. He has not been playing. Carson Taylor saying that, referring to Nikola Jokic, it sounds like the Wiggs thing. Who knows what that is? I mean, look, Michael Malone has not been shy about his displeasure with the front office of the Denver Nuggets. And I don't blame him, because the Denver Nuggets won a championship, and the reaction to that was, let's stay cheap. Let's focus on our pocketbook over repeating as a champion. And they're just letting these veterans go. They're not breaking the bank to keep things together and to bring in, marquee free agents or any kind of signing for that matter. They're not making noise. They're very complacent. And Michael Malone has been frustrated about that. We haven't heard much from Nikola Jokic about it. For all we know, this could be an unprecedented type of protest where they're basically telling the Nuggets, F you. We're going to take a break. Have fun with this. You want to screw us over and make us work 18 hours a day just to be a 500 team? F you. F you. Who knows what's going on there? And then Gilberto Bala saying maybe Nikola Jokic is one of his ponies got sick. Who knows? Who knows what's going on there? But it's weird. It is very weird. And Gilberto Bala adding that Stan Kroenke, who owns the Nuggets, also owns the LA Rams. It's crazy to me when you have billionaires that are cheap. It's sad. It's sad is what that is. It's a shame. Carson, thank you. Have a great night as well. Thank you for your contributions. BC is calling a Lakers Cavaliers NBA Finals. And here's the crazy thing, BC. I can't sit here and disagree with you on that, because the biggest reason why I'm not proclaiming loudly that the Golden State Warriors are going to win the title this year is because I have no clue how they're going to play against the Lakers. The Lakers have been their kryptonite for 5 years, and it's almost entirely because of the size disadvantage that they present to the Warriors. And the Warriors for 5+ years have pretended it's not an issue and that it's not a big deal. I have no idea why. So I need to see that game. And let me see when the Warriors and Lakers play, because that's suddenly becoming like a really, really important matchup. The Warriors and the Lakers play for their first regular season game Christmas Day. Is that right? Woo! Woo! All right. Folks, Christmas is going to be fun. It's going to be the Warriors and the Lakers. That should be a good time. It's Friday night. Thank you, everyone. Oh, and BC adding that the Lakers 5-0 versus the Kings. Why are you saying 4-0 versus the Warriors? Are you talking about last year? That does not matter, my friend. That means nothing. Oh, you're talking about all time. Okay, so BC adding that the Lakers are 9-0 all time in playoff series versus NorCal teams. And when you include a play-in, 10-0. Oh boy. I will say this. I do love that the Warriors-Lakers rivalry is about to reach the peak of its powers. And man, is there going to be some shit talking going on between both sides. Looking forward to it. I think this Warriors team can handle them. I think the depth will overcome them. But I need to see it first. I need to see it. So, BC, I cannot sit here and talk smack back at you. All I can do is respect you and tell you we'll see on Christmas Day. That should be a hell of a game. For everyone else, thank you. Have yourself a beautiful weekend. I might come on the air Saturday or Sunday. I might bring Rick Barry on the program, the Hall of Famer. If I go more than 2 weeks without him coming on the show, I start getting withdrawals. I miss him. It's crazy to call him a friend. I'm still blown away by that, but it's true. And it's just, I'm lucky in so many regards, that included. So Rick Barry's going to join the show soon, and it might be this weekend. We'll see. But regardless, have a great weekend. Enjoy your Friday night. If you love the Warriors, enjoy the feeling that comes with the Warriors once again being at the top, or at least near the top, of NBA relevance. And they're a legit contender, folks. There's no mistaking that. Do not listen to any hater that tells you otherwise. They win tonight. They're 2-0 in the NBA Cup. I actually don't want them to make some noise there. That's a weird thing. We'll talk about that later. And BC, you remember the Eric Dampier Warriors. So do I. I never want that again. So we shall see how that goes. But again, thank you, everyone. And have a great weekend. And we'll be back soon. And that's it, right? We're done. We're out. Bye-bye.